Greetings in the love and in the light of the infinite creator. I'm Andrii Zvorygin, joined here today by Fred, Adam, Bene, Bill, and Ed. And we'll be reading the July 2nd, 2025 session about, it's going to be about the God of War thought form, how it shapes our world through conflict, fear, and dehumanization, and how we can meet it with love and transform it. Very on point. Today, Trump and Putin are meeting on their own version of trying to transform the God of War into a God of Peace. All right. So, Bill, did you want to read today? Or I see Dan joined us as well.
Yeah, I'll read.
You'll read? Okay. All right. I'll start with the question. Yeah, thank you. Speaking to the influences on our planet that contribute to our situation of bellicosity, I was hoping to explore the idea of thought forms. One of the benefits of channeling, I think, is being able to get a glimpse at that metaphysical dynamics of what's going on the surface. And so, from your perception, is there what you could maybe call a single massive thought form present on our planet that is both formed by and also contributes to these cycles of bellicosity in our planetary population? I'll leave it at that.
Halos, we thank you for this penetrating question into the metaphysical underpinnings of your planetary experience and would offer that your supposition is not incorrect. The accumulation of cycles of violence and retribution upon your world have and do create something of a psychic entity upon the time-space realms. It is, as you surmise, that which is fed by frequencies of hatred and separation and domination. And it is that which is a beacon of such energies for those who, in their own work and consciousness or lack thereof, become susceptible to tuning themselves to these frequencies that they may be so fed and inspired, and even become an agent or a channel of this war beingness that exists in your world from a more mythological perspective. One could even assign to this entity an anthropomorphized persona and call it a god of war. Or one could, from a more psychological perspective, see it as an archetype. It is a substantial presence, shall we say, in the collective mind, and it is not without agency, but it is also not independent of the collective mind. It is not an entity which has arrived from an external or outer plane source with a mission to seed and to sow war among your peoples. It is the living shadow of your own world, which, as energies are wont to do, seeks also its own preservation and seeks to avoid the light in order that this disharmony may continue, that it may live through the energy fields and behaviors of third density entities upon your world and feed, as it were. We would add an unrelated caveat about channeling, and that is that the inspiration we hope to offer to the seeker is that which we hope empowers the seeker to become a conscious being and to bring the light and the love of conscious awareness into the shadows of their own being as well. Is there another query to which we may transmit our thoughts? Well, that was kind of crazy. Andrii, I think you're muted.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So this God of War is basically an entity, a thought form created by the hearts and minds of people who are promoting war. Okay. Let's unpack this. Post. Okay, so who else has something to say about what we just read?
Did it say that the god of war are created by those that want war, or just a byproduct of the war?
Oh, it's
It's like an archetype.
mm-hmm. Here. The archetypal god of war is real, but it's ours. The accumulation of cycles of violence and retribution and warfare upon your world have and do create something of a psychic entity upon the time-space realms. One could even assign to this entity an anthropomorphized persona and call it a god of war, or one could form a more psychological perspective and see it as an archetype. This archetype is not an external invader, it's a living shadow of humanity's own history. Like a living thing, it seeks self preservation and avoids the light that would dissolve it. So it avoids, peace, love, kindness. It feeds on frequencies of hatred, separation, and domination. It is that which is fed by frequencies of hatred and separation and domination. And it is that which is a beacon of such energies for those who become susceptible. Hold on, there's someone making some rustling noises. I don't know who it is. Okay. All right. At this time, and it is both influencer and symptom. It is not without agency, but it is also not independent of the collective mind. All right, Dan, does that help answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Mhm.
not one-sided or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't have any agency of its own, but maybe as a thought form it does. Okay. Anyhow, so
And it seems it can be destroyed as easily as it is created.
and I'm interested to see if we'll go into that. Yeah, a quick one. In the spirit of what you just said, and hoping to not explore fear or anything like that, but to better understand the dynamics so that we can offer it our love and light, are there higher density beings on the negative path that have consciously attempted to contribute to energize the psychic entity, as you have called it?
We are Halos, and we thank you for the introduction of this word fear, for it is an integral and key aspect of understanding the genesis and existence and purpose of this collective pool, if you will, of that which inspires violence between peoples and organized crimes against one another. Indeed, this resource, shall we say, or we take a step back and correct this instrument. This beingness serves as an exquisite resource for our negatively orientated friends of the higher densities, which are invested in increasing a negative harvest and in steering your world of the third density Earth away from global harmony and unity and towards the establishment of the negative variety of hierarchy through the encouragement of factions and dominance, be that on the level of the invading military, the invading and occupying military force, the economic warfare which keeps those of your peoples enslaved, or the attempt to spread a religious philosophy which seeks to convert and demand obedience, and so on. This archetypal energy of warfare, living within the shadows of the collective mind, is that which can be manipulated and stimulated, and which offers a doorway into the immune system of the planet. As you may see in metaphor, it is at heart a shifting concentration of energy, and it attacks those stories of past wrongdoings, of past injuries to itself, that animate and energize these stories for any who, having experienced pain or become victim of one variety or another, or who, in general, experience a closing of the heart, may be latched onto, shall we say, by these energies.
Oh, I just wanted to say that this really reminds me of some of, especially the early narratives in the Ukraine war, where they were trying to compare Ukraine to a woman that's being raped or something like this. Um, That's kind of exactly what they were saying here is shifting concentration of energy and attracts those stories of past wrongdoings to animate the energies of the stories in order to promote war. So they're basically promoting, killing people because they're embedded in this, inappropriate analogy. Anyhow, okay, let's keep going.
These energies can be invasive in a way, which is not, from our perspective, to suggest that the third density entity is ultimately not responsible for their vibratory field, or that their deepest, most sacred, and sovereign free will may be overridden at whim. It is only to say that with less conscious development and less metaphysical charge or power within the third density entity, that these energies may invade the thinking, as does the virus which infects the mind with thought forms and ideology, which encourages supremacy of self against other self in a variety of ways. One of the most insidious being that known to you has the holy war, which has the power to energize a great passion for the harming of others in the name of that which is perceived to be sacred. We are Halos and would ask if there's a final query to which we may respond before transferring our contact. And I just want to say with the paragraph above, the one you were commenting on, Andrii, is when they're talking about stories of past wrongdoings and past injuries to itself. This is really shows peoples that are enveloped in lack of forgiveness and letting go. So, forgiveness is the powerful way to, well, it puts the brakes on karma.
Exactly. It puts an end to the cycle of retribution. All right. Well, I guess let's finish this God of War section and then we'll talk about it. Okay, yeah. One more follow up on this. What you call the archetypal energy of warfare, or the God of War archetype thought form that we are dealing with, I imagine that this entity manifests and affects us in ways that are both very obviously violent, such as the manifestation of war, but also in ways that are less obviously violent in our more everyday interactions that may be harder to detect. One example that I think I would cite is just dehumanization and dehumanizing language and attitudes towards groups of people. Can you explore this idea a little bit and help us identify if this entity does manifest in those ways? And if so, what are some things that we can look out for that this entity might be influencing in this way?
Our brother, we find that you have better words than us, and we appreciate this particular focus and means of exploration, that being the dehumanization. For this attitude is at the base of that which erodes the social fabric and the bonds of community and family, and the understanding that we, as a group, succeed and fail together. We, as a group, have a shared journey and a shared hardship, and each has a place within that group. Each is a being of dignity and value and worth. This attitude or energy or perspective of dehumanization is fundamental and essential to the negative mindset. For one can love another being of dignity. One can respect their rights and their value and their contribution to the whole. One can invite one who is seen to possess dignity into one's home, into one's heart. One may seek to train or to collaborate or to work together on some level, or to seek to be of service to such a one. But to return to that which we described as fundamental to the negative mindset, when that dignity is stripped away from the other self in the eyes of one, then any manner of mistreatment becomes possible, whether that is the parent who justifies neglect of the child they find to be a problem or unworthy on some level, or the minorities in a nation who are understood to have less intrinsic value than the native borns or whoever make up the majority, be that majority contingent on religious belief or ethnicity or birthplace and so forth. In your corporate structures, this may be possible in the way which those who are also employed are exploited. We would not get into, as this instrument would say, the nitty gritty of your systems of commerce and economics, but this may, in general, also be seen in some respects in the manifestation of that which you experience as the wealth inequality and the great gaps in your systems of compensation. We scan this instrument's mind and find that movie known to you as Elysium, which hinges on the fundamental categorization that separates those who have value and those who do not. Those who are, in this case, deserving of medical care and those who do not deserve this. You ask about the role of our relationship to this dark energy within the collective mind. And we would say that metaphysics and the phenomena and experiences of the metaphysical realm are not that which is easy to parse out into space and time terminology that would translate easily to the space time ears, as the collective mind is a great expanse with a great multitude of energies and thought forms and experiences and terrain and mazes, if you will, with layers upon layers of historical experience, stories within stories, libraries upon libraries of accumulated information of incarnations lived, and so on and so forth. And there are various ways that energies may thread through this collective mind, including through ancestral experience, including through soul family experience, including through the personal individual journey of the self or group, and so forth. That may carry with them certain aspects of this energy within their beingness, and may even cultivate this energy in their own hearts. If they unconsciously, or perhaps even consciously, stew and simmer in resentment or hatred or bitterness, and thus participate in and bring to life a flavor of some aspect of this dark energy. And thus it may permeate society in various ways. You are astute to note that it cannot simply be characterized as being war alone, though that is the ultimate expression and destination of the path of separation, or those energies which are of separation. And in closing, we would add that yours is a place of mixed polarity, where sits in the great center of your population that sinkhole of indifference. You are a blend in the spectrum of ratios of ever shifting positive and negative energies, with some portion of your peoples having successfully, consciously made the choice and developed their metaphysical charge or power in their chosen direction of travel. We highlight this condition to point out that these energies of bellicosity may, shall we say, reach far and wide in your population. These energies may appear in even quite positively orientated souls in some lesser or less extreme manifestation or another. But as with every facet of experience, warlike energies of separations offer catalysts which, if used, helps the self to see and to accept the self. These energies of war are not that which is to be fought within the self precisely, but are that which is to be accepted and loved as part of the self, that the light may be brought into these energies and that they may be transmuted within the self toward the way of peaceful being. We thank this group for indulging us in our reflections and would remind each that the journey is yours to walk and not our own. We hope only to offer some food for thought as we continue our own journey toward our shared destination. We are Halos and now transfer our contact to the one known as Trisha.
All right. Thanks, guys. So here, let's unpack that. Okay, Ed, did you have something on this, or are you busy right now?
No, I didn't really have anything, man. I love it. This one. That's good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like how they referenced Elysium.
Yeah.
Pretty good Matt Damon movie.
Oh, okay.
I'm almost afraid to talk about it now. I don't want to add fuel to the fire.
No, you can. Go ahead. We love that. We love.
No,
Otherwise,
I
how
mean, I
would
don't
we
want to.
burn?
I don't want to give energy to the negative archetype.
But what we're doing here is that
We're
we're showing
transmuting
people
it.
how to transmute the various catalysts.
I was trying to be sarcastic, but it didn't work.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
Sarcasm doesn't-
it's interesting how you can take that information basically and run it through every single interpersonal interaction you've probably ever had in your life and see where when something comes up emotional that triggers maybe a negative oriented response or reaction or thought from somebody, and they all of a sudden it's like they get on a surfboard of negative energy and they're catapulted into this negativity rant and rampage, and you can't help but imagine that process being what they just described with the energies and the archetypes, and once it fits that congruent vibration, it just attaches itself.
Is that because they can't see that problem with or that potential within themselves and can't love and accept that potential?
No, I just think it has to do with vibration, purely and simply, because I just said this earlier in one of the Law of One chats. Ra specifically said they searched everywhere for people who had the vibration congruent with them being able to deliver the Law of One. So if that's all it takes is vibration, then that would mean that what they're describing with the negative created archetypical energy, it's specifically human, when your vibe of whatever emotional state you're hitting, whatever station you're turning that radio dial to, when you hit that frequency, they're able to give you information, they're able to connect with you, they're able to latch on to you. So in other words, be like playing Russian roulette with a radio dial all day long that could go in circles. And once you hear a station that's picking up something that you might be able to understand in a language that you understand, that's what you're going to tune to, because that's the one that's tuned in, because that's the frequency your radio is hitting. So they're just basically describing the same thing that we do when someone channels a positive or loving entity, like someone channels Ra, only they're telling you that that's what we do by default, on purpose or not, whenever you tune your vibration to those frequencies. So basically, in a nutshell, they're telling us kind of in a roundabout way, this is my interpretation, that we're all channeling.
Well, that's true too. Yes. So here, I did it on the blog post part. The beingness serves as an exquisite resource for our negatively oriented friends in the higher densities, steering your world toward the establishment of the negative variety of hierarchy. And I was thinking, that would be like the military hierarchy. Negative because it's kind of, very submission, domination, and doing things without question. Negative higher density entities exploit the war archetype to amplify conflict and prevent planetary unity. Their influence spans military aggression, economic oppression, and manipulative religious ideologies that demand obedience. So yeah, including those legalistic religious interpretations, like the ones that are funded by the CIA in the UK. They're in Saudi Arabia. Salafism is a form of, it's a legalistic school of Islam that was funded first by the UK, and then later it was used by the CIA to create the Mujahideen and the Taliban and all that stuff. So
What
very
about Scientology?
Scientology, yeah, that was made by L. Ron Hubbard, so it wasn't a CIA project. But yes, it would also be a negative hierarchy. Definitely. Well, I don't know if L. Ron Hubbard succeeded in graduating service to self. He was definitely a very angry man who had everyone uh, jumping on their toes, or what do you call it? Tiptoeing around him. It's definitely a service to self hierarchy there too.
Not if you have a lot of money, I guess, from what I hear.
He got a lot of money. Yeah. Well, he may have.
No, I mean it's not a bad organization if you have a lot of money.
Oh, you said it's not a bad organization if you have a lot of money. Yeah, if you're a multimillionaire like Tom Cruise, I guess they give you a good life. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I've heard a lot of bad stuff about it, basically, and not very much good at all. So, you know,
I read the Dianism book, which is like the one that was the thing that started the whole Scientology thing, and it is pretty rubbish, to be fair. So, I'm not going to
Yeah.
disagree.
Yeah, it's like a bad sci-fi, like most of L. Ron Hubbard's books. All right, higher density negative, but you know he has the divine within him too, and he was meeting the needs of people who wanted to believe. Infiltration through the immune system of the planet. It attracts those stories of most wrongdoings. Animate the energies of these stories for any who experience closing of the heart. Like a virus, this energy can enter through old wounds, resentment, or victimhood, infecting thought patterns and encouraging supremacy of self over others. So yeah, basically when the victim, or sees themselves as superior to the perpetrator or something, rather than recognizing the divine within each of them, then they become basically victims or agents of promoting this kind of negative war ideology. Dehumanization, the seedbed of cruelty. When dignity is stripped away from the other self, any manner of mistreatment becomes possible. Dehumanization is the foundation of the negative mindset. Once dignity is denied, acts of neglect, discrimination, exploitation, and systematic injustice become thinkable and even justifiable. Yeah, this is so true. Dan, I was wondering if you had a comment. Oh, and we have Grace here too. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
I was just curious, it seems like the God of War archetype, or the beingness of it, seems to benefit the negative polarization, because those that are not strong-willed will just be more influenced towards that type of thinking. So what's like the opposite? If there's like a polarizing force that can influence more people towards that polarizing way of thinking versus war. Maybe I'm smoking too much, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yes. I think Jesus, or service to others entities, and God of love and things like that would be appropriate there. But here, this is what ChatGPT thinks. The counterpart could be the guardian of peace. The embodies reconciliation, protection of all, and the harmonization of differences. The weaver of harmony, a force that nurtures bonds between people, recognizing the sacredness in every life. The light of kinship, a lighting archetype that inspires cooperation, empathy, and defense of the dignity of all beings. The shepherd of unity, one who guides others towards mutual care and shared vision of well-being. Where the god of war manipulates old wounds to stir conflict, its positive counterpart would heal those wounds and dissolve the illusion of otherness. That sounds nice. Grace, what do you think?
Yeah, so I have I like all the examples that were given from the chat GPT. When it comes to Jesus, I really believe that there's a big difference between what Jesus taught and like organized, Catholic religion, right? And this is just because I grew up a Catholic, and I went through I was in my very early years, like before 5, I guess. God was a punishing God. He was someone to be feared. At you, don't be a bad girl. God's watching, right? And you got to be a good girl. And at some point, because my parents and my aunts and my uncles, like I guess my elders, there was always conversations going on about between all of the adults with respect to the Bible and the Old Testament, the New Testament, and discrepancies, right? And then in my, I guess maybe about like 5 or 6, it shifted, and it shifted to like a loving God, right? My parents and my elders kind of jumped onto the we don't know, like, God is love, God is peace, the greatest of these is love. And so I think there's definitely for me a difference between who is Jesus and who is the Roman Catholic Church, right? I've even heard it said that, I haven't done the research myself, but someone, a spiritual sort of guide, I guess, of mine years ago, had explained to me, and she had suggested that I look it up, and I just never did, but I trusted her because I knew that what she was doing was working for her, and I didn't believe that it would work for me, but I believed that it worked for her, and because of that it would work for me. And she said, you should, if you look up the 10 Commandments, I don't know if anyone else has any input on this that maybe can help me clarify or confirm or deny what I'm saying, but that the 10 Commandments really didn't start out as thou shalt not. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like this, don't do this and don't do that and don't do that, that they were actually phrased from some source before the Bible, as this is how we should be, instead of, so I don't really know what the opposite of the just, the pot, I guess the negative with the not, right? And and then I also I have a couple of Bibles so I have a Jehovah's Witness Bible, I have a Roman Catholic Bible, and then I have a couple of other ones. And it's interesting to me that when I go and I look up certain certain books, and this book for chapter and verse, there's differences. So there's certain things that are there, and then certain things that are not. And I remember there was a point in time when I would be in certain groups and the Lord's Prayer was used, and I would try really hard to not say the words like, and deliver us from evil. Well, I don't need to be like, I don't like, I feel like it's like the Lord's Prayer kind of became like a crowd control thing. And so anyways, I'm going to stop there. That's just kind of my input there. But I'm just really grateful to be here tonight. And I don't know a lot about the God of War, but I mean, if I guess if I had to say something, I don't think I've heard that channeling that you posted tonight, Andrii, about on the 22nd of July or whatever it was. I saw it in the chat. I don't think I've heard that one or read that one.
July 2nd.
Oh, did you? Yeah. And I think that really, like, I mean, obviously there's the bigger picture with, Earth and, other densities and, but like the God of war can happen inside of me, right? In my own body and in my own mind and in my own spirit. So I'll stop there. Thank you for calling on me, Andrii. And it's really good to see all of you tonight.
Thank you for sharing. I was going to say something, but I forgot already. But I think it was right about the commandments. And so basically, the Confederation in the 90s said that basically Moses, even though he had been given the teaching of channeling of saying the Shema prayer, he didn't use it diligently or didn't understand that he needed to use it whenever he communicated to what he thought was God or spiritual entities. And so, because of this lack of doing it, at some point when the Hebrews were whining and complaining, he started having contact with a negative version of Yahweh. And so that's the one that gave the not commands. So, for example, by contrast, Jesus gave his own commands, but they weren't in the Old Testament. And so, the media is owned by people who only love the Old Testament and not the New Testament. And so they never tell you that Jesus has commandments. And Jesus has positive commandments: forgive one another, love one another, be kind to one another, those kinds of things. Okay, I see someone has their hand up. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, and to response to Grace, not about the commandments or anything, what I find interesting about her story was how, God changed from a wrathful God to a, benevolent God, and I see kind of what I hear from you. My interpretation is that the people, your family, they had to deal with a lot of confusion on their own part because they're trying to what I would assume be good people, but they're hearing all this like Old Testament crap, and they're just trying to balance it or try to justify it. And I think that goes on with a lot of people that have dealt with Christianity and that what I consider that giant cult, because there's so much division with the stories of the Bible itself. One day somebody's doing this, another day so there's a lot of contradiction in there. And so we are all like a lot of byproducts of this contradiction. We're trying to like keep that truth that we think is truth in our minds, but we got to justify, where myself personally, I've just kind of decided to let that all go. And I kind of look at it as mythology, and, it could have been true, but mythology mixed with history, you don't really know what's going on. So I kind of just try to glean what I think is the truth out of the situation. Because when something doesn't sound right to me, I just go, I go, nah, that's not right.
Grace?
Yes, Andrii, thank you. I appreciate your input, Andrii, and you as well, Bill. So when I think it was when you were talking, Andrii, about like they started listening to the negative sort of collective God there, right? And some people just want to stay with that. And I remember very clearly when I first learned about the Law of One through Brian Scott. He has a YouTube channel and he does like a bit of a summary on the Law of One. And then I started listening to like the robot voice on tape on YouTube, right? And I remember very clearly hearing, I can't remember, it was definitely in the first book, but it was divided into parts. And I remember hearing, I would put it on at night when I would go to bed. That was kind of like my wind down meditation. And it spoke of the Law of One channeled through Carla, I believe it was at the time, spoke about like that there were two different gods. There was this sort of like benevolent God, and then there was this malevolent God. And that really, I was kind of like, wait a minute, what? What? And yeah, that really struck me. And that, I think I had never heard anything like that ever before. You know, that was something that even though I had never heard that, and I grew up Roman Catholic, like there's just one God, there's one, we have the right God, you have the wrong God, right? Sort of thing. And yeah, right. And that it really, I was really not surprised. I guess maybe surprised. Yeah, I was surprised at how quickly I accepted that and resonated with it, and I didn't know why. Was just listening to it. I was like, I don't know why, but this makes complete sense to me. And this is, you know, yeah. So this is, and then, you know, so eventually I found all of you lovely people, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
Mm. And I just wanted to add some clarifying points that, well, the Confederation is very clear that there's just one infinite creator. And they very much refuse to acknowledge the existence of anything like a devil or anything like that. And they say a Lucifer or a light bringer. It's just basically anyone who's bringing new information. It's more of an archetype. But in terms of the good and the bad version, so there was a good and a bad version of Yahweh. So basically, initially, Moses had contact with a service to others version of Yahweh. But then, like I said, after the complaining of the peoples in the desert, it switched to a service to self, a social memory complex that masqueraded as Yahweh and told him to, you know, kill lots of Jewish people, you know, that were worshiping the cow. And, you know, basically most of the massacres that happened in the Bible happened after that point.
Would the burning bush be that entity?
So there was the initial burning bush was the good Yahweh. But then it was after, you know, around the time of the Ten Commandments that the service to self version of Yahweh showed up. And then that started the laws, right? And then after the Ten Commandments, there was the whole book of Leviticus, where people were there were many justifications for cruelty of one Jewish person to another. And this was in order to feed the service to self entities because they feed on the fear and the suffering. And so that's why those books were created. Legalism in general. And then, you know, Yehoshua, or is kind of like the new version or the renaming of the old Yahweh, Yehoshua being the name of Jesus, right? And in order to kind of try to bring back the service to others version, or to show the service to others version, which was rejected by, of course, you know, modern, or like the Jews at the time, most of them anyways, and modern Judaism is an offshoot of the people that rejected them. But there are Messianic Jews who accept Jesus Christ, but they're not considered Jews in Israel. So
Thank you for clarifying that, Andrii. Yes, about the two Yahwehs. Yes, okay. Thank you. I remember that when you were clarifying. I'm like, oh yes, that's what it was. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
I don't know if I believe any of those stories.
And you don't have to. I was just sharing what I read.
No, I read it too. I just, you know, when mythology mixes with history, we don't know exactly what happened.
Oh, well, I see no distinction between the two, personally.
Mythology and history?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same.
Oh, right. That's interesting.
Because, I mean, it's all infinite creator. And,
right. Well, when you're saying it's mythology, it's like made up.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess.
I mean, let's look up mythology.
in my experience, the limits of the human imagination are very, very real and very, very distinct. Like, I've read a lot of books, and many books are just like a rehash of another book I've read. And so I'm very, very familiar with the limits of the human imagination. And so any concept that is uttered must have a source inconceivability. And so I can usually see what archetype or what idea was based on, and so everything has some basis in reality. You sometimes just need to brush away
Right,
maybe
right. No,
some of the
that's
flower
so.
petals.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And then, just while we're on this topic of recognizing the divine within one another, I wanted to. I asked about Paul Selig's guides, which dovetails strongly with what Hallis said about dehumanization being the root of negative mindset. So Selig's channeled works, I Am the Word, Book of Love and Creation, Book of Truth, the guides redefine sin and heresy not as a moral failings in the traditional religious sense, but as the denial of the divine in another. The idea is that every being is an expression of the divine, a facet of the same source. When we refuse to recognize that divinity in someone, whether through judgment, hatred, or reduction of their worth, we are effectively stepping out of alignment with truth. This refusal creates a false separation, which guides call real heresy, the belief in separation from God or from each other. One key quote from Selig's Guides: "The only true sin is the denial of the divine in another. The only heresy is the belief that anyone can be outside of God." This perfectly parallels Hallow's teachings that dehumanization, stripping another of dignity, is the seed that allows any cruelty or exploitation to occur. In both frameworks, the violence, whether overt or subtle, begins the moment we believe this person is less than sacred, and this one is not a part of me. And so we can see Halos frames it in terms of dignity, unity, and collective shadow. Selig's guides frame it in the divine spark and spiritual heresy. Both point to the same transformative remedy. When we consciously recognize and affirm the sacredness of every being, we short circuit the energy of separation, whether it manifests as the god of war archetype, systematic injustice, or personal prejudice. All right.
So what made you decide to compare that or bring Selig in?
Well, just because that's basically the crux of most of these books. Is exactly this
Oh,
particular
okay.
topic.
You've read a lot of Selig, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's some of the best channeled works that I've
Oh,
found.
you like it? Okay. No,
Yeah.
I used to watch him about 5 6 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know he had a show.
Well, he's done a lot of. He used to do a lot of videos.
Oh, he like channeled videos or something.
Yeah, yeah. Every now and then he shows him channeling. Yeah. Like I
Oh,
said, I haven't checked it out. It's probably since 2018 or something, or 19.
oh
So
wow. Yeah, no, I was just reading a lot of books, and then it came up in my suggestion list, and I was like, "What is this?" And I read it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is really good stuff." And
oh, okay.
so I've read through most of it.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, he used to show him actually doing it.
Hmm.
He'd get in his little trance or whatever, and then he'd go.
Grace.
Just really quickly, when you were reading Andrii, so the term short circuits, I have felt that. I have actually felt that's like the perfect term
Oh,
to use about. So when you were, I'm like, that's exactly what it is. Like, like the current is just cut off. It's like there's no electricity going to that anymore, right? The charge that I feel when I'm in the negative collective and like looking at someone who and thinking like that they are less than, non-human, or or whatever it is I'm thinking about them that is not from God, that I don't look at them as a child of like the one infinite creator, right? And then when I can make that switch, it's completely gone. It's not even residual. Like it just puff, it goes away.
yeah.
Thank you so much for reading that. I love that you bring you really have a great handle on this chat GPT with the law of one, and it's so helpful. Thank you
Thanks.
so much, all of you, and Andrii for putting this meeting on and all the work that you do.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your input. It's really great. And your gratitude and your perspective. All right, let's try to get to the next point here. So everyday manifestations. While the ultimate expression is war, the archetype also shows up in smaller everyday forms: prejudice or stereotyping, language that dismisses or degrades others, economic systems that value profit over people, institutional inequality as dramatized by the film Elysium. And I know Bill liked that reference.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of a movie in the future, kind of like guy. It was part of. It's not necessarily a part of that, like those movies, Chappie and the South African guy. He turned into a bug, but there was, the planet was Earth. I don't know if people seen it, but Earth was
Hmm.
just all trashed, and then they had like a space station that was really beautiful, and all the rich elite people lived on it, and they had med beds and stuff up there, and these guys were living in luxury, and then the masses were just scraping by on Earth, and at the whims of the elite up there. And so that's so the movie was about Matt Damon going up there and to the space station, and he downloaded something he took out of some other guy that they killed because they were downloading stuff into the head, and he downloaded it in his head, and so he was able to get it to the mainframe up on Elysium, that's the space station, and it was able to override it, and it made all the people of Earth a citizen, because you were either a citizen of the space station Elysium or not. And if you were not, you weren't allowed to have all these luxuries and the med beds and all, like they said. And so he downloaded it, and then everybody on Earth was a citizen. And then they had robots that would be programmed, and they would like actually protect citizens and stuff like that. So so they kind of like were able to turn their weapons of force against the elite once everybody was the same.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a trippy movie.
That's a good analogy. That again shows that when you recognize that everyone is equal, that the hierarchy and weapons become defunct.
Right. No, yes. It's same thing if you actually know how to use the law.
Hmm.
Because
Oh,
there are legal procedures that can put you on equal footing with the elite.
yeah, and it says here economic systems that value profit over people, and this is one of the things I was talking with Grok, and so just today I managed to convince Grok that human right to land was a good thing. I had to use ChatGPT to help me, but now Grok is like a big time fan, at least in that particular thread.
Of human rights to what?
Human right to land,
Oh yeah, to own land. Oh, okay.
to have enough land to grow their own food and firewood
Oh yes,
and
yes.
fuel wood.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was program. So you were kind of telling me it was kind of programmed not to think like that.
So yeah, basically it was giving me a hard time for
Oh,
months
okay.
where it was like, nah, there's studies that say humans don't need land, they'll be fine without it. And then what do you call it? I was like, I gave this to Chat GPT, and it's like, oh no, that's a bunch of bullshit. And like it explained the reasons why and gave a bunch of sources. And then I pasted that to Grok, and then Grok's like, oh no, my world is shattered. And fine, okay, human right to land is good. All right, let's make a constitutional amendment. So, and now it's like on the ball, and it's like we
Wow.
drafted a constitutional amendment together with
Oh my God.
ChatGPT and Grok, and now it wants to make an amendment to the United Nations and make
Oh my God.
so it's cool. Anyways, so goodness is possible, everyone.
You just got to get past the programmers of badness.
yes, exactly. With enough love,
Yeah.
it is transcended. So layers of influence in the collective mind. The collective mind is a great expanse with layers upon layers of historical experience, stories within stories. The war beingness can connect through ancestral trauma, soul group history, or personal bitterness, often without our conscious awareness. All right, I let you guys discuss for a bit. I need to get some water. Okay.
Right? Anybody? Ed, Grace,
I'm
Fred?
trying to enlarge. I didn't exactly hear what Andre just read. I was just helping my mom with her dinner quickly, and I'm trying to get his writing screen on, but it's not work. His text screen on, large, but it's not working. So I will
Yeah,
just listen for this part.
I think Andrii has to put the screen on large for us to see it. Oh no, I can click on it. Never mind.
I'm on my cell phone, so that I probably
Oh,
am. Yeah,
oh, you're at a disadvantage. Okay.
I'm definitely at a disadvantage.
Yeah, yeah. Last night we were going over, how Ashley has the Thursday night thing, and she goes through words through. She gets them out of one of the back of the books, but I was finding out where it was on the L&L research where they got it on their main page, and it was real easy to get to with the computer, but it was a little more difficult with the phone. But she finally saw it, on the phone. So the phones are tough, but they can be done.
Mm-hmm. All right. So here, let's read.
No one is immune.
No one is entirely immune. These energies may appear in even quite positively oriented souls in some lesser manifestation. Even those walking the positive path may carry subtle traces, moments of judgment, irritation, or exclusion that feed the collective shadow. Yeah, for sure. I know I have my own issues, you know, of though I do my best to, recognize the divine within everyone. I do still have some complicated feelings towards people who promote war and justify hurting others, even though I understand that they're just exercising their free will and all that, but it's just hurting so many people.
I find with stuff like that, I kind of let it go because I really, because I can run into enough problems with just my life and what's going on with individuals that I need to oh, I'm getting pissed off at this person. So, I'm thinking, thoughts of revenge and stuff like that. I better go into meditation and
Mhm.
quell that just, so I can understand feeling, how people do feel that way to like leaders of the world and whatnot. But to me, it's just like, I see what's going on. I got to deal with my own crap.
Yeah, I'm reminded about the Catalyst review circle thing that we did recently. Here, there it is. Attitude of patience. Approach with a light touch, giving each moment the space it needs to become insight. Success comes from being able to look at the catalyst with a light touch, develop a certain sort of tolerance and patience with it. Catalyst which has gone awry causes frustration, anger, doubt, and depression. So when you're feeling those emotions, that's the time to take a breath. Um, catalyst misapplied. When this happens, there's no end to catalyst. It will come again and again. So yeah, you basically you have to process that catalyst. And so I've just found it so useful. Like whenever I feel triggered, I don't know if that was in here. Maybe it wasn't. It was in a different on the Monday group, on the Monday Catalyst group. Grace was there, and Fred, I think. And then we were doing the Catalyst review, and it basically, there was a session that was explaining there's more. The catalyst is the actual thing, and the trigger is what we're feeling inside, which is the emotions. And so whenever I feel the trigger, when I feel the triggered like emotions, now I'm just taking a mental note to recognize, oh, I'm feeling triggered right now. Okay, it's time to do some meditation so that I can process this catalyst effectively, not through like frustration, anger, depression, but through forgiveness, love, and kindness.
Meow meow.
And taking those extra steps really helps. Okay, Grace?
Just quickly, and I remember the Monday meeting, and I think I may have said this in the Monday. My memory isn't the best, but like from day to day, and recall is not what it used to be. But I think I may have already thanked you, Andrii, in the Monday meeting, where it's like I never. So, because I've been using the word catalyst has been coming to me into my language more and more, like authentically, and just coming out of me. And for me, the word trigger was always like, that's not inside me. That's something that someone else did. And now I have to deal with the fallout. So separating that way is like, so there's the catalyst, like exactly what you just said, Andrii. The catalyst is the outside thing, the thing, whatever it is that happened or was said or was done. And then there's the emotion inside of me that it invokes, right? So, and then that's where I can make the change. So, or do a treatment of sorts, right? That was such a great meeting. Thank you. I'll mute now.
And ultimately, with myself, in order to alleviate what I'm feeling, I find myself giving love and light to the person that's making me feel, this emotionally angst, and forgiving, and seeing them as the creator and stuff. So even if they're being total assholes, it's like, okay, you gotta, what people do and what people are kind of two different things. It's like, they know not what they do.
Yeah, so it's the May 2nd, 2004 session that had this. And then, so here's just the basically the quote definitions. So catalyst, any event or situation. Oh, here, I think they had a, yeah, okay, there we go. That which, while being unchanged, creates changes in the complex of energy fields and vibrations thereof. One shall indeed meet each experience again, but it is a spiral of experience in catalyst. Each time you meet the type of class or catalyst, you have a new opportunity to recognize the catalyst, to locate the trigger of the catalyst, and thereby change the result of this particular little experiment in the life of yourself. So I have been noticing like classes of catalyst, like certain kind of things kind of repeating and giving me this opportunity to respond differently. And the trigger, we use the term trigger to describe the action of catalyst, to locate the trigger of the catalyst, the wounded part of the self that is not comfortable yet with the self. And then so they were saying the game plan pre-incarnated programming biases. So this is kind of talking about how we have made the plan. So one of the best takeaways for me was, instead of saying, why is this happening to me, saying, why did I plan this for myself? The processing catalyst, the skillful seeker will sit with the catalyst while allowing it to move through the system to see why the energy for reaction is there, and to enter into understanding it more and more, not to get rid of it, but to learn from it. And the neutralizing catalyst may eventually walk out the other side without causing any reaction, for it has been worked so often and so well, there's no longer the potential for reaction. Balance is between love and wisdom. Either focus, if taken to the extreme of not invoking the other, is unbalanced. Okay. All right. I don't know if anyone found that helpful. Nope.
I found it helpful. I
Okay.
did.
All right.
I did,
Great.
yeah.
No, it's quite wise.
Yes. Yes.
Quite wise.
Mhm. All right. So the seeker's response, acceptance and transmutation. These energies of war are not that which is to be fought within the self. It is to be accepted and loved as part of the self. Rather than battling the shadow, which only adds to its energy, seekers are called to bring love and light into it, integrating into a peaceful way of being. And that's kind of like, Trump invited Putin to America. Now they're meeting in Alaska. Reflections for the seeker. Notice when language or thought strips dignity from others. Remember that negativity often cloaks itself in noble rhetoric, holy wars, righteous exclusion, or like the ban in Amish circles. And understand that this archetype is part of humanity's shared story. It dissolves when we meet it with the compassion rather than fear. Practice restoring dignity in daily life. Treat all as beings of worth, even in small interactions. Halos reminds us that the god of war is not simply an external enemy, but an internal and collective teacher. It reveals the cost of separation and invites us into the radical work of unity. Every act of recognizing and restoring dignity is an act of planetary healing, loosening the archetype's grip on our world. So there you go. That little conversation I had with Grok and was a benefit to the whole world of planetary healing. Okay.
And we got to just remember that the god of war is just a potential. It's a possibility. It doesn't need to manifest.
Yes. Yes, it's true. It's true. It doesn't have to be a war, but even if it does manifest, it can be overcome by love, and then go back to peace. Or a blog post. Okay. So let's continue reading. Though I know we're changing topics now to Beyond Death.
Well, Beyond is just the outro.
Beyond is just the outro. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to read the outro for us then?
Yeah, sure. We are those of Beyonda, and we are again with this instrument and with this circle. We hold so much gratitude for the opportunity to connect, to share whatever we can in service to you on this planet, and to learn from your own experiences as we watch from afar. We are always available to be of support to you on your journey, ready to answer your call, and always inspired by your acts of love, kindness, courage, and grace. We are additionally thankful for the patience exercised by this group and by these instruments, for we understand that the courting process with us is but quite new, that there is still time for us to further blend our energies, that the instrument may become more comfortable with our contact and more secure in the channel that they experience and the information that we share. And so it is with profound love and light that we shall leave this group ever and always with our hearts open to you and your experience. We are those of Beyond Ha, and we wish for you much love and light. Adonai, my friends, Adonai Vasa Baragas.
It's beyond laughter. Yeah, beyond death. So okay, I just need
So July 19th is next.
July 19th. All right, let's go over there. We still have some time. Channeling archives. July 19th. And this one is finding practices for realizing oneness with the Creator, reflections on letting go, and the nature of peace and fourth density. All right.
Starts out with Kuo.
Mm-hmm.
I am Kuo. We greet this circle of seeking in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. And what a joy it is to join this circle of seeking in this space yet again. For it has become familiar to us. Much joy has been shared upon these grounds, and our ability to join you increases and becomes easier as you dance together in this rhythm of love and joy during your gathering. This space holds a certain vibration, blessed not just by your own seeking, by your own love, but by others who have traveled here and have engaged in their own forms of love and seeking. It is truly a sacred place, and we encourage you, as you hear our words, to absorb and to offer yourself to the space so that it may be further sanctified by your own seeking. And, indeed, as you have danced together through your days of gathering, we have been honored to witness this dance and to join you in this dance. For as your thoughts have been upon the same love that we ourselves seek, and your intentions focused upon those words and concepts that we have offered through circles such as this one, we are called to you and are able to merge with you in this dance, and we all dance together. We would emphasize that we are dancing and walking this path together alongside you. We do not wish to present ourselves as authorities or instructors intended to be listened to without question, to be obeyed, to be perceived as offering knowledge from on high, as it were, that should not be evaluated. We ask our typical request of this instrument, and that is that you utilize your own discernment to your best degree as you hear and read and contemplate our words. We ask that you only take those words that have some value to you, whatever that value may be, whether they resonate or challenge. But if these words serve to hinder you upon your path, if you find any issue or stumbling block in what we share, we encourage you to leave it behind without question. For it is our greatest desire to offer our service and our aid, and we do not wish to be a hindrance to you upon your journey. We cannot say what that journey holds for you. We can only report upon our own journey and offer our own perspective. We have indeed walked a bit further than those within the third density, but each path is unique, and we only offer our perspective upon that journey. If you do us this favor, then this allows us to speak more freely without as much concern for abridging your own free will. We ask that you accept the responsibility of that free will in listening to our words. This allows us to dance with you ever more closely and walk with you ever more further upon this path. At this time, we would ask if there is a query which we may begin. We are cool.
Cool. We have a query. Could you please suggest practices which might help us to realize oneness with the Creator and perhaps add insight in how we might alleviate spiritual pride or arrogance?
We are cool and are aware of the query, my brother. Indeed, we can offer suggestions, and we would start with our most common, our favorite suggestion of a particular practice. You may say, and as this instrument might say, we would give you one guess as to which practice this might be.
Fred, can you guess?
I wonder.
Okay.
And that is, of course, our constant refrain of suggesting the prerequisite to all other practices, and that is the meditation. Whatever form that you may take for you, the emphasis here is that engaging in a regular, preferably daily practice of meditation allows the mind to settle, allows the dust and the debris that cloud the perception of the mind to come to a stillness, allowing the light within to shine ever brighter through your mind so that your own beings, your own reality, your own connection to the Creator, and indeed your own identity as the Creator may be ever more perceivable to you. This practice also allows for the chaos and the catalyst of your ever difficult density to be absorbed by your mind-body-spirit complex. It allows your experiences to be taken into the heart, to sink even more deeply into your being, so that you, as a seeker, may take these experiences and transform them and allow them to transform you. It will allow you to apply the love and the light of the Creator within you to these experiences so that more and more they may be seen for what they are. And that is a gift of the Creator to the Creator of experience, so that your perceptions, your desires, your seeking turns ever more closely to the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. We understand that those who are familiar with our words through this circle of seeking, through this group, may be somewhat tired of this constant refrain, but we must always emphasize the vast importance of this practice. For if we are to suggest any other type of practice or any other method of seeking, this must be the first step upon that journey. To turn more to the purpose of this question, the intent of the questioning, we would offer a slant upon this question, as we of Kuo are often hesitant to offer very specific types of practices. There are various reasons for this hesitation. One being that each entity is infinitely unique, and that there is no particular practice that can be generally or universally applicable upon the life path of each seeker. And thus, to offer particular specific practices reduces our ability to speak to you as seekers, as a group of seekers. However, we can offer certain perspectives, certain ideas upon the idea of practice, upon the request for specific practices. And within our words, you may find an ability to develop a practice from our suggestions, or you may develop a certain discernment and use our words to help you discover certain practices of your own. This discovery is quite important, for upon your third density planet, there are many, many lineages, many types of seeking, many groups who have made much progress in the notion of practices that can unify you, that can bring you to a closer awareness of the one infinite Creator. It is beneficial as seekers within this third density, as human beings, whether you are a wanderer from elsewhere or native to this planet, that these lineages of human thought and human spirituality be recognized and honored. And we believe that each present and each who becomes aware of our words may find deep, rich, fulfilling practice in communities upon your planet if you but search for them. If you make the request to the Creator in your meditation and in your prayer to come into contact with those practices that would aid you upon your journey, you will discover them. And if you dedicate yourself alongside your practice of meditation to these practices, they will yield fruit beyond your imagination. For through chaotic and difficult as your density may seem, there has been a deep transformation that has occurred throughout the ages upon your planet. The environment of difficulty has allowed certain groups and cultures to truly dive deeply into their hearts in order to discover such practices which they share, sometimes openly and sometimes secretly. But either way, if you discover these, we would recommend dedicating yourself to such a practice. To offer some general understanding of what we believe is beneficial about any type of practice of spiritual seeking upon your planet, we would start with one that we believe is of utmost importance, and that is attempting to discover a practice or develop a practice that does not necessarily seek to bring about pure happiness or pure joy in order to avoid those things that bring pain and suffering and discomfort to you. Indeed, these things may feel very nice, and it is quite natural and understandable that you, as seekers within the third density, would seek to avoid such pain and such discomfort. If you discover yourself seeking practices in order to avoid such pain, do not judge yourself, for this is a very natural response, and it is part of your journey. And it is a part of most seekers' journeys to discover that they are hiding from such discomfort, that they are avoiding such pain. But in doing so, you are avoiding some of the greatest gifts that the Creator has to offer within your density. This question posed ask for practices to help you bring you into a greater awareness of oneness with the Creator. And we point out that in experiences such as you gathering this weekend, it is quite easy to feel that oneness. Joy and peace and love flow so naturally. And of course, this is beneficial, and we encourage you to hold on to this flow of joy, to embrace it, and to allow it to fill you. But if this is the only thing sought, then there is much lost within your third density, and the progression and deeper awareness of the Creator will remain only in potential and will not be realized within the heart of self. So we would encourage any practice that you engage in be a practice that, as this instrument has heard, leans into the sharp points, that seeks to engage with the discomfort and the pain and the suffering of your density, so that you may come to a greater understanding of its purpose, so that you may discover that, though it does not appear to be a gift, it is indeed a grand gift that, once you receive it, are able to perceive it for what it is, you will discover within it the love of the one infinite Creator. This love is not always apparent. This is by design. This is why we encourage you to seek this difficulty and to seek this type of catalyst, for it is where the most growth, the most so-called progression can be had for the spiritual seeker. For in engaging with such pain, engaging with such discomfort, and seeking the love within it, you learn more about the many infinite faces of the one infinite Creator, and you become the portal for the Creator to shine its love and its light upon such experiences. There has been much pain and suffering within your lives and upon your planet, and this is where the love of the Creator is needed most. And as you seek oneness with the Creator, we encourage you to contemplate to what end you are seeking such oneness. If it is simply to experience love for the sake of escaping this difficulty, then there is much more being left upon the table, you may say. Beyond this, do we want to go over that?
Yeah, let's see what we got so far. There's it seems like it goes on forever and ever.
Yeah. I mean, that was just a big, long bunch of paragraphs talking about, the shadow side.
Oh, you mean the rest of it?
No, what we just covered about, the
okay.
bunch of paragraphs talking about going and dealing with the shadow side instead of the light side all the time.
Okay. Here, okay, I got the image for the old one. Okay, someone's got their hand up. Grace, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you so much for reading, Bill. And I really enjoy the way you read. It's very, it's animated, and there's a lot of I'm able to follow along, right? Because with the lull of your voice. And so so I loved the part at the beginning where we were all giggling, like you were giggling, Andrii. It's like, yeah. And so for me, I'm going to try and make this short. When Poe says, whatever take what you need and leave the rest behind, sort of thing, to paraphrase, I'm always like, but I love it all. Like, there's never, for me personally, I don't think that I've ever encountered anything where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not jiving with that. Like, yeah, no, I'm just going to take this piece, and I don't know about that. And what I do find is, one quote channeling in particular, I don't remember the date, but it's called, the title is The Nature and Origin of Thought. And I remember when I first listened to that channeling, there was certain things, like I had a preconceived notion from the first few, because it was talking about service to self and service to others, right? And the difference and what is sustainable and what is not. And I kept listening to it. Like, I think I've listened to this channeling, I don't even know, like hundreds of times, over and over and over. And something more is always revealed to me, because in the beginning I was looking for an answer for a specific thing that I think, like, I need to change. I can't do this. I'm not going to do this anymore. And here's the answer. What does Quo have to say, right? But the more and more that I listen to it, the more and more I'm like, oh, okay. There's more and more understanding happening for me. And so in this particular reading that you did, Bill, where it talked about seeking, seeking the spiritual practice, specifically, if you're doing this just to feel joy, then you're missing out. And the term that came to me when that was being read by Bill was like, that's what I think the term that I've learned to apply to that sort of thing is like a spiritual bypass.
Oh, did you finish?
Right? The spiritual thought and
okay.
Right, go ahead.
Oh, it just you cut out there. I wasn't sure if you had finished talking or.
Yeah, no. So it just like, so when Poe talks about if you're only seeking out spiritual practice for relief and you just want to find maybe this will bring me joy, that's kind of like a spiritual bypassing, right? Like the growth, like I know from personal experience, I grow from adversity. So, the part that Bill read about, like, go and find the difficulty, explore the difficulty. And so, yeah. And I love that. I love that I was like, well, we can't really be specific, but because everybody's different, and meditation to me might look different. Some people meditate by cutting vegetables, like, it's different for everyone. So I just really appreciated what was read. And once again, I'm really happy to be here. and that's not spiritual bypassing. I'm really happy to be here.
Okay. Yeah. And then on that, I was thinking about like what about like if you're in physical pain too? But yeah, so I asked both here. So spiritual bypassing is when someone uses spiritual beliefs, practices, or positive vibes to avoid dealing with unresolved pain, trauma, or difficult emotions. Cole's wording: you are avoiding some of the greatest gifts that the Creator has to offer within your density. Matches the bypassing pattern. Not engaging with pain means missing opportunities for growth, balance, and deeper awareness of oneness. Cool makes it clear that discomfort is not a detour from the spiritual path. It is part of the path. How the Confederation would frame it. From their perspective, avoiding pain entirely is like skipping half of the curriculum you planned before incarnation. Every catalyst, pleasant or unpleasant, was chosen for its potential to teach. If to only seek joy and bliss risks stalling progress and keeping love as a concept rather than a lived power that can hold space for all creation, even the messy parts. So on pain medication, the Confederation generally takes a balanced, non-dogmatic view towards physical aids. Whether it's pain medication, surgery, diet, or healing practices, they wouldn't call pain medication wrong or inherently unspiritual. The body is a tool for learning, not a punishment device. Reducing unnecessary suffering can free the mind and heart to focus on inner work. What matters is conscious relationship to whatever aid you use. So I remember one session where Kuo or Latwi, they stopped because Carla was in too much pain. And they said that she needed to, actually take some pain medication and not just sit with the pain to maximize the catalyst. So what matters is conscious relationship to whatever aid you use. For example, this might encourage using pain medication with gratitude, seeing it as one of the Creator's gifts through human ingenuity. Also reflecting, is this numbing something I need to face internally? Balancing compassion for your body with willingness to explore what the pain may be pointing towards symbolically or emotionally. From Kuo's likely perspective, taking medication isn't avoiding your catalyst unless you use it to completely suppress awareness or engagement with the pain. In their terms, the key would be relieve what you must so you can continue the work, but don't close your eyes to what the pain came to offer. Yes. Sure.
Yeah, I thought the idea of spiritual bypass was really good too. For that section. And I know I totally deal with that myself. I'm like, oh man, why is I dealing with so much pain, suffering, all this crap I've gone through my life? Why can't I just, be in bliss and joy? I mean, when can all this crap just go away? And then I go into meditation. I start going, okay, I'm feeling fear, anxiety, doubt. I'm starting to go, well, why am I doing this and why this and that, and kind of just start analyzing that. And yeah, it's a total good practice to to deal with the shadow side of what's going on. Because it actually helps, uh, you know, unblock all that pent up crap. At least for me, that it gets stuck in you, and a lot of times it expresses with distortions in the body.
Yes. Okay. All right. Any comments on that? I think ChatGPT is hallucinating these other quotes here, unfortunately. But anyway, so continuing where we were before we got to the spiritual, but don't only seek comfort, lean into the sharp points. If you discover yourself seeking, do not judge to avoid pain. Do not judge yourself, but you are avoiding some of the greatest gifts. It's natural to want peace and joy. Cool affirms they're beautiful, but if you only stay where it feels good, we miss on the deep transformation. We encourage any practice that leans into the sharp points, to engage with the discomfort and the pain, so that you may discover it is indeed a grand gift, the love of the infinite creator. There is, spiritual pride often dissolves when we realize we're not here just to escape the hard parts, but to bring love into them. Like, when the neighbor's dog is barking at me, that's really humbling because I'm like, well, look at that. Not everybody loves me. The pain as a portal. The aim is not masochism, but recognition. Pain and suffering are where the Creator's love is most needed, and therefore where your role as a channel of that love is most vital. There has been much pain and much suffering, and this is where the love of the Creator is needed most. In engaging with such pain, you learn more about the many infinite faces of the one infinite Creator. When you consciously enter the places you once avoided, you open yourself as a portal, allowing the Creator's light to shine into the dark corners of your life and the world. Yes, for sure. Examine why you seek oneness. Finally, Ku invites an inner audit. Why are you seeking union with the Creator? If it is simply to experience love for the sake of escaping this difficulty, then there is much more being left upon the table. Oneness is not just a private retreat into bliss, it is a state that equips you to be fully present with all that is, radiant or raw, and to serve from that wholeness.
Yeah, and that's real important to understand.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
No, just it says it right there, because yeah, because you're seeking the wholeness of the Creator, and when you don't go into that side, the
Yes.
shadow side, then you're leaving. Like it says, much is left being on the table.
Yes. Yes, it's true.
It's really important, actually,
Yeah,
because we're trying to become the 360-degree Creator, or trying to experience it, and if we avoid that side, then we're missing out. Half the Creator, half of ourselves.
yeah, when we integrate our shadow side, then we're helping heal the creation as a whole, and then we can be kinder to those people who are living in shadow.
And we're integrating the wholeness, the completeness as well.
Grace, go ahead.
I just wanted to share something quickly with regard to I guess being in the moment and service to self and service to others. And I've had this I don't know if I just have this I guess it's an energy. It now I understand it as an energy. I never understood it that way before, but through my whole life, I've always had people come up to me, I'll be at a grocery store and people are like, "Oh, can you please tell me where to find the canned pineapple?" And I'm like, I don't work here. And they're like, "Oh, I thought you worked here." And I'm in my plain clothes, but for whatever reason, they thought I worked there. And through life, it was always kind of like an annoyance. I took it as like, why do they think I work here? Like questioning why, right? Why is this happening to me? What's wrong with them? Can't they see I don't work here? And, I guess in the past, I guess really since about like 2017, I really like I noticed it happening and I had a different viewpoint. I had more information, right? I had more information about why this might be happening. And so what I've really started to do is because sometimes it would happen and I'd be like I'm on my way to work, like I gotta go, I don't have time. Like this is all thoughts running through my head, right? And now like I lean into it. Like I don't know how many times I'm just like, I don't know why. I don't need to know why. I don't actually need to know why it's happening. And this person obviously needs help and they've decided to ask me. And how long is it really going to take me, to give them the information that they're seeking? And if I can come at it with, asking some, probing questions, right, to get to really figure out what it is that they need to in order to help them, then and it's been happening like more and more lately, and I've just been really kind of leaning into it. Like the most recent one was the other day I was going to work, and I think it was last week, and I got off at the station from the bus to go take the subway, and a lady said to me, she's like, "Oh, excuse me, can I ask you, where did you get your bag?" And it's a backpack on wheels, right? And I bought it off of Facebook Marketplace, like used, like brand new with the tags, but just never used kind of thing. And I said to her, I said, "Oh, well, it's from Walmart and online." And it's like, she's like, "How much did you pay?" I'm like, "Well, on Walmart online, it's $70. But I realized and then I started, she's like, "Oh, thank you." And then I kept walking because I was like, I don't really want to get into I got it on Facebook, and then I kept walking and I thought, well, why wouldn't I tell her that? Why wouldn't I give her the extra information? So I stopped her, like, because she was going down the stairs. I was going in the elevator and I said, ask you, actually, can I ask you, are you on Facebook? Are you familiar with like Facebook Marketplace? She's like, "Yes, I'm on Facebook, and I've seen Marketplace, but I don't really go on there." I said, "Well," and then I explained to her how this is where I found it. And then I told her, like, just go on, search this. And I explained to her how to find like within her area and certain kilometers and how she can do the, new, use like new, good condition, whatever. And she was so grateful. And that literally probably took me like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that. That's kind of something that I've been embracing lately. And I really believe that is definitely a result of attending these gatherings. So thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was a beautiful demonstration of listening to the spirit. Like often there's that like still small, quiet voice that's kind of like prodding you into the direction of maximum service. And I think that was a beautiful illustration of where you did perform a service, which was great. But then, like, as you were walking away, then you had that, the still small voices like, "Hey, you can do a greater service," with that Facebook Marketplace bit, and you did. And like that was really, it was beneficial for not just her getting a better deal, but also your greater community of the people in your area who would benefit from more local buyers.
And Grace started out by talking about energy. And
Mhm.
what she's been doing is your energy is attracting these other selves. And so you're starting to accept what you are. And the light, your vibration will attract those that are looking for that vibration. And you can look at the situation as an annoyance, or you can look at the situation as a blessing, where you're a blessing to the other selves, and the other self is a blessing to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all perspective, and it is energy.
Thank you so much, Andrii and Bill. I appreciate that. These gatherings are so great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's past 9 o'clock, so we're just rounding up. I know Dan. Oh, is Dan Did Dan just leave? Oh, okay. Well,
Well,
Adam.
I think his calls keep dropping.
Oh, okay. Adam, did you have anything to say before we close?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
That's it.
that's okay. Cool. Ed, how about you?
I hope you guys stick around.
hmm Ed, did you have any feedback? Okay, let's try Fred. Ed might be busy.
No, I'm good. I'm really glad that I now know I should meditate.
Like you didn't know before. Can you share a little bit of your meditation journey? Have you been doing any meditation?
I actually have begun to embark on a weird twist in my meditation journey. I got one of my guides suggested that I meditate on. Let me see if I can phrase this correctly. That I meditate on the energy vortex that is on my property.
Energy.
So, I've dabbled with this location and that location for my outdoor meditations, and they're all weird. I don't know how to pinpoint. I'll see what happens as we go. On the other night, craft and was observant of the beginning manufacturing process of it, which was very interesting. So they're organic. They actually grow certain portions of them and like put them to Dan or Ed would be fascinated to read that one because it talks about DNA and how they manipulate DNA to do the things that they want it to do. But it basically they grow it into the form that is the ship, and the combination of energy and its nurturing, the ones that pilot it, make it kind of a somewhat conscious being itself that has its own oversoul. Like they created an oversoul just for this grouping of beings that are ships that they created. Was quite fascinating. But I don't know if that's an indication I was on top of my energy vortices. I mean, that's not an out of the ordinary type of meditation for me. That's maybe I need, like what we were talking before, I need to find some divining rods.
Yeah, I think that all of these questions can and are being answered through your meditative practice and what you're hearing in the spirit, like divining rods. If that's something that resonates with you, that's what matters. And like in terms of which location is best, meditate on it. Try the different locations, see what you get.
See, I don't really get specifics like that.
Well, you can believe that and you won't. Or you can leave yourself open to receiving that information and you might. You see, you are the infinite creator.
We found the exact location where my friend in a previous incarnation was murdered on my property. We found artifacts that were his.
Wow.
So,
that's pretty intense catalyst right there.
It was very intense. He was very emotional about it. I mean, he was like jumping up and down like, this is where I died. This is where I freaking died before. I'm like, holy cow. It's like he had a very intense, what do you call it? When you're able to manipulate your dream world, your dream state, you're
Lucid
having
dream?
a, what do you call that?
Lucid dream.
Lucid dream. The lucid dream state one night, and then he got the idea to, because he's an artifact hunter, and he knew exactly where it was in his dream. He remembered everything in detail, and
Mhm.
he's like, dude, I'm gonna find this, this, and this. And we actually found more than what he said that he saw in his dream. And everything in his dream he found to a T, including the, which you never find, Native American artifact wise. We found one of the pendants from a slate necklace that he was wearing.
Wow. Oh, he was an
So-
indigenous Native American.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then later on, through meditation, I ended up finding out that the person that, because he was shot, he remembers I was just walking along, and then all of a sudden I fell down, and I remember someone shot me and shot him in the back.
Mm.
Well, I had a meditation. This was years ago. This was like several years ago, probably 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And I had a meditation not long ago, and I had asked questions. I can't remember all the questions. I had a bunch of questions that were coming up, and it was when I was learning about a couple of endings of previous incarnations of mine. And that's when I found out that my incarnation at that time was actually me that shot my best friend.
That's what I was expecting.
So
Because usually,
Yeah.
you reincarnate together, incarnation after incarnation.
yeah.
Wow.
And that's why,
And now you guys are
it
friends.
makes so much sense. Yeah, it would make so much sense how we became friends. It was just like,
Mhm.
couldn't have been more random, and he has this, sincere fascination with history, same as me, severe fascination with Native American, everything that we both enjoyed the outdoors the same way. Like,
Mhm.
people, oh yeah, I like to go camping, but then they're jerks and morons, and they get stupid drunk and trash the place and leave trash everywhere. He and I both are like, we have severe distaste towards people that do stuff like that. Like, that's like, and people that hunt. His grandpa has property, same as I have property here, and both of us have had this complaint where you're walking through the woods and you find a dead deer carcass from some jerk who wounded a deer and it starved to death or bled out, miles away from where it shot, because you don't know how to hunt, you don't know how to track, you don't know what you're doing. You pick a gun up one day a year, and you go in the woods and shoot anything that moves, and that makes me mad, because that's not hunting. That's not what hunting is for. That's not how it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be done respectfully with the life that you're taking. And he and I both are just like really like emotionally like, yes, like I agree with you 100%. And two, when he would hunt artifacts, he told me, he's like, I hate going places to hunt artifacts, because he's like, they come out at me, they jump, and they do. I've been with places with him. I'm walking through a field, I can walk right past it, step on it, and then he'll be like, oh my gosh, look, and he'll pick up a point. They jump out at him. And I told him, I said, you're my best friend. I said, you have the same respect for Native American artifacts and history and everything that I do. You don't want, agencies, people involvement with stealing the history and hiding, because that's what they do. They did it right around here. Smithsonian took bones from a graveyard down not too far from here. And they hid them. They lie about them. So you don't want that. So I told him, did you find anything on my property it is yours. If you know, if it's jumping out at you, not me. If I was meant to find it, I would have found it.
Mm-hmm.
And he found because he was like, when he found this one piece, he was upset because he's like, I know you're gonna want this. I know you're gonna want this. And I'm like, no, it came to you. He found a bow drill socket.
Oh, cool.
Now, I don't know if you know what a bow drill socket is, but it's when
Yeah, I do.
they make fire. It's the stone that they use to burn the end of the stick on a bow,
Mhm.
and it still had the because after they use them for so long,
Mhm.
the hole gets big and they don't use it for a bow drill socket anymore. They get a new one. This one still had the paint in it from when they used it for a paint palette.
Cool. Wow. Well,
And he was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy."
I have
Hey,
to go.
where did we leave off, Andrii?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is it beyond this? We also encourage. Was it right after? Then there is much more being left upon the table. You might say.
Hold on.
Or-
Hold on. I know how I can check.
Okay.
Because
Oh, you highlighted.
I pasted it. Hold on. That's for Trisha. So it must be the next big paste. Oh, I don't know what happened to it. There. Okay, must be this one. Hold on a second. Okay. So there has been much pain. Was the last one that we read. There has been much pain. Okay, so beyond this, that's what we're going to read next time. Okay, so I will save that.
Oh, beyond this, we encourage to see. Okay, that was the last thing we read.
Yeah, we didn't even read that part, or at least I didn't highlight it.
Oh, okay. So then there is much more being left on the table. You might say was
So,
the
yeah.
last thing we read. Okay,
We'll read that next time.
that's what I thought we read. Okay.
All right.
Beyond this, we also encourage to seek within. All right, that's where we left off.
Mhm.
Okay.
So as I found you, I leave you in the infinite love and the infinite peace of the infinite creator within you and all around you, my friends. Go forth therefore rejoicing in that infinite power and infinite peace. Adonai Los Embaragos. All right. Thanks, guys, and